like to welcome you all here today for our
Recording in progress.
commission meeting. This is the 26th day of April, my birth month. It's just about over. Yeah.
You're about done for this month.
What's your birth century, too?
Yeah, it is.
Well, no.
Anyway. No, it is my birth century.
Yeah.
You're right. Anyway, it's good to have you all here today. We want you to know. We'll start this meeting today with the Pledge of Allegiance by Rick Grover. See, Rick's here. And invocation by Chris Crockett, and Father Day by Commissioner Ford.
Will the audience please rise and repeat after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads and offer up our gratitude unto Thee for the many blessings that we have. We are so grateful for the rain that has fallen this past week. It is a tremendous help, and we ask that Thou will continue to bless us with it. Father, we are grateful to live in such a beautiful part of the country, and we are grateful to live and serve such wonderful people. We ask that Thy Spirit will be with us, that we will make sound decisions that will benefit lives, and we ask that Thou will open up ways for us to continually serve and help one another. And we ask for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Chair, my thoughts today go to a sport that some of us are familiar with. It's called the marathon, since we just discussed it. And this past weekend, a couple people that we know ran marathons. First was my daughter-in-law that ran the Salt Lake Marathon. Did a great job preparing for the Ogden Marathon, which, by the way, comes up on May 21st of this next month. And they're hoping for a sellout. And I'm hoping to see you guys on that starting line up there at some point. There is a 12K, or there is a half. We don't want to sell this short, 12K and a 5K. So I think we can put that on your schedule. The other person that ran marathons this week is our own Chris Crockett. Ran the Big Sur Marathon. Enjoyed the scenery down there. That's a marathon I've never done, but maybe one of these days I'll do it. But wanted to just give you a little history of the marathon. So questions come up on occasion, well, what's the distance of a marathon? And I think Mr. Crockett can probably answer that.
26.2 miles.
Yeah, 26 miles, 385 yards, which is 26.2. But you may not know that the marathon started out in ancient Greece from a messenger that ran from Marathon to Athens to basically let the Greek people know that the army in Marathon had defeated the Persians coming across in about 1700 BC. So and that distance was actually 40K. So the marathon over the next number of years, up where the first official marathon was in 1896, started off at 40K, just under 25 miles. Well, that changed in 1908. When the marathon was held the Olympics was held in England, and Queen Alexandria came out and said, I want the marathon to start at the palace gardens so that my kids can look out of the upper windows and see, the young royals can see the start, and obviously it will stop at my box in the Olympic Stadium. So that turned out to be 26 miles, 385 yards. Later on in 1921, that became the official distance. So the official distance since 1921 has been 26.2 miles. So just so you know. And it is official. You don't have to run the whole way, Commissioner Harvey. But I'm not sure that Baku scooter will be allowed on the course, just in your memory. Anyway, that's my thought, Mr. Chair.
That's a great thought. Commissioner Harvey, don't think about bringing that scooter.
I've actually, with that Ogden Marathon, helped load the buses for the last 5 years, and so somebody's got to get them up there to start, because they don't, a lot like Alexandria, we don't start and stop at, they get to start at the very top up by Causey, on that road to Causey, you know.
Yeah, it's
a great spot.
I've done that a few times. And it's a great marathon. Sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate, sometimes it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
thank you very much, Commissioner Ford. That was wonderful comments. All right, we'd like to go to the item E on our agenda, which is public comments. If anybody would like to comment today on items on the agenda, we'd certainly ask you to step forward. Now's your time. Seeing none, we'll end that and move to the next item on there, which is F. Consent items. First item is a request for approval of warrants in the amount of $1,361,655 as listed. Item 2 is a request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $160,259. Item 3 is a request for approval of minutes of the meeting held April 19th, 2022. Item 4 is request for approval of new business licenses and new beer licenses. Item 5 is request for approval of retirement agreements by and between Weber County and the following individuals: Blaine Cutler and Roberta Dustin. Good
Wow.
employees that have finally decided to hang their hat up. Item 6 is a request for approval of the following Weber County Human Resource Policies: 2-5 on attendance, 2-6 resignation and separation, 3-6 discipline, 4-200 leave practices, 4-400 workers' compensation, 4-500 return to work, and 5-100 payroll practices. These are all items that have been presented to us in our work meetings, so we've had a chance to go over. Item 7, request for approval of agreements by and between Weber County and the following individuals for Deputy Sheriff Basic Training Reimbursement: Olivia Fox, Tyler Berg, Garrett Baird, Mason Greenmeyer. There's a name there, and I didn't know it was Greenmeyer or Greenmeyer. Renessa Valdez, Brandon Williams, John Strong, Caden Shaw, Donald Reed, Jawad Quazum, Van Ponceta, Journey King, Skylar Ketz Dever, Brittany Amsden, Joe.
Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan.
What to spell it?
No N. Jonathan Esparez, Michael Bunderson, Daniel Galvez, Jacob Goebbels, Talon Goodrich, Donald Gasline, Timothy Hadaway, and Braden Johnson. Whew!
Wow.
That's quite a list. Mike, I hope they all pass. We need them out there.
Yes, indeed.
Item 8 is a request for approval of an underground right-of-way easement by and between Weber County and Rocky Mountain Power. Commissioners, any questions?
No questions. We appreciate being briefed.
Not for me.
Yeah, I agree. This makes it pretty slick when they can come into our work meetings and we can go through the detail of these. All right, I'm
It's good.
ready for a motion. Oh. Ricky, yeah, I'm sorry. I just blow right by you. Why don't you go ahead and give us a summary on our payments?
Will do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We issued 15 purchase orders this week for $160,000. 58% of that amount, or $93,000, was for our stormwater fund, which was spent for the or will be spent for the pipe at the new high school and for the 2200 North project. 13%, or $21,000, is for the transfer station, which will purchase fuel, some equipment, some EPA testing, as well as emergency staffing. 10%, or $15,000, is for the health department to purchase a medical refrigerator. 6% or $10,000 was for the shooting range, which will purchase supplies. As far as warrants, we issued 319 warrants this week for $1.4 million. 16% of that amount, or $220,000, was for paramedic services. 15%, or $207,000, was the monthly contribution to Weber Human Services. 12%, or $160,000, was housing payments made on behalf of Weber Housing Authority. 11%, or $154,000, is the contribution to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, plus $60,000 to the Goal Foundation. 9%, or $127,000, is for transportation projects, primarily 3600 West in Plain City. And 8%, or $111,000, is the charges for public defender services.
Very good. Thanks, Ricky. I appreciate that. I'm sorry I kind of blow by it sometimes.
Oh, you bet. That's no problem.
All right, Commissioners, now I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair, that we approve the consent items listed on our agenda as F, 1 through and including 8, as read and explained today.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. They pass unanimously. All right, action items. G1, request for approval of resolution. Weber County Commission of Weber County appointing a member to the Ogden Valley Planning Commission. Mr. Rick Grover.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We have one vacancy for you to consider. We have two individuals who have applied for the Ogden Valley Planning Commission, Mr. David Morby and Mr. Dason Johnson. They will be filling Mr. John Lewis's remaining term.
So, questions, Commissioners?
None from me. I understand, I've looked at both resumes, and both of them are very well qualified individuals, by the way. But I'd be ready to make a motion when you're ready, Mr. Chair.
I'm ready.
So, Mr. Chair, in speaking with Mr. Morby, I haven't had a chance to talk to Mr. Johnson, but I understand very well qualified. I would make the motion that we appoint Dason Johnson to the Ogden Valley Planning Commission as presented by Mr. Rick Grover this morning. And I would give our thanks from Weber County to Mr. John Lewis for very well-served chair for the commission and the planning commissioner for the period of time he served on it. I thought he was very fair, and but I think he understood that it was probably time to move on, and I think this Mr. Johnson will do a great job.
Thank you. That's a motion.
Second.
And a second. I would agree. I would like to comment on that. I think John Lewis has spent a great deal of time up there, and he's served the county well. I want to thank David Morby for his application. And with that, I'll call the motion.
Mr. Chair, I better amend that motion to approval of Resolution 24-2022.
Very good.
Since it is a resolution.
That is great. Let's go ahead and call it.
Okay, roll call vote for Resolution 24-2022. Commissioner Flohr?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Jenkins?
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item, action item 2. Request for approval of agreement by and between Weber County and Weber Community Foundation for the county to provide administrative services for the foundation. I told you I didn't see that on their gauge, but there it is.
I did. I thought it was going blind.
I was obviously wrong.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, I don't see Mrs. Freegang here today, so I will go ahead and take that. This is a nonprofit foundation that's being started by the county. And the purpose of this is because occasionally we have people who would like to give us funds for different purposes. We've had people give us funds for the theater, and once in a while they want to give us funds for other nonprofit items, health and human services type items, items that Melissa gets involved with occasionally with the Center of Excellence, where they want to help people. And so that's the purpose of this foundation. We have seen this before. We've seen it in our work session, and nobody had problems with it. So Chris, you have something you'd like to say?
The county with this foundation will be providing a few administrative support type services, financial services, accounting services, legal services, and the funds, any donations will be housed with our Weber County Treasurer. So this agreement just outlines what that relationship is with the Community Foundation.
You know, there was a question whether or not we needed an administrator to be attached to this, and after our conversations, we decided to not attach anybody to this right now and see where this goes, and then we will look at this at a later date if we feel like an administrator needs to be involved with it.
A director.
A director, yeah. Somebody to administrate it. All right. Well, with that, I'd look for a motion.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That passes. The Weber County Community Foundation. Very good. Item G3, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Gilmore Bell for bond counsel assisting in the review process of a petition to create a public infrastructure district for the Snow Basin development. Mr. Crockett.
Thank you. The Weber County Attorney's Office provides legal services for all of the different county departments and the county commission. We provide those general services, but there are times where we need to hire experts who have a specialized knowledge base in a particular area of law, and so often counties will contract out for bond counsel type services. Weber County has long used Gilmore Bell as their bond counsel. Recently, Gilmore Bell, we've been working with them because the Snow Basin Resort Company has filed 3 petitions to create public infrastructure districts. Now, those are there's a lot of review work that goes in there, and a lot of financials to look at and analyze. And in making recommendations to the county commission, the statute governing PIDs allows for the county to engage expert type services. For us, it's with Zions Bank and also with Gilmore Bell for our bond counsel. But we are also allowed to seek reimbursement for those expenses from the petitioner. So what this does is it memorializes the fact that we will be using Gilmore Bell to help us review these petitions, and then we will invoice, Gilmore Bell will send us an invoice and we will seek reimbursement from Snow Basin. So, and Snow Basin has signed off on this, and it's just now before the commission for review and consideration for approval.
Very good. Thank you. Questions, commissioners?
No.
Nor I. I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve that contract between Weber County and Gilmore Bell for the bond counsel assistance.
Second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Item 4 is request for approval of contract extension by and between Weber County and Davis County and the Economic Development Corporation of Utah for a regional economic development manager. Mr. Gage Schroer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, as you may recall, 3 years ago we entered into an agreement with EDC Utah to seek and approve a Northern Utah Economic Alliance director. And in partnership with Davis County, they accomplished that. Mr. Chris Roybal has been the director of that for the past 3 years, and in my opinion has done a great job. We've seen great results, a lot of activity created by outside companies as well as inside companies, and helping everybody from Weber State to the Technical College and Workforce Services. So it's really been a collaborative community effort, and I give a lot of credit to EDC Utah for the outreach they do, and I give a lot of credit to Mr. Chris Roybal and also our Economic Development Director, Stephanie Russell, that's taken basically the active role in managing what we do here at Weber County and also how we interface with Davis and EDC Utah. It's kind of a 3-prong effort, but I think it's been very successful. The original contract was for a 5-year contract, After 3 years, we have the right to either extend 2 years or not. What this does, Commissioners, is gives approval to do the extension, basically continue on like we've done the past 3 years for the additional 2 years. And Davis County, I understand, is in the midst this morning in their commission meeting of approving the same extension. We've talked to EDC Utah. You have all probably received the 3-year report from EDC Utah and Mr. Roybal. Hopefully you've looked at that. I think the proof's in the pudding if you read that report as far as what's taken place. So my recommendation is that we authorize the extension for EDC Utah, Northern Utah Economic Alliance, for the additional 2-year period of time as allowed under the 5-year original contract signed 3 years ago, almost this month. That's it in a nutshell, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Comments?
I'd like to make a motion with a comment.
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion that we approve this or extend this contract. I give it the extension that as presented by Commissioner Frohr today. And let me tell you, 5 years ago when we started the process of asking all the businesses in Weber County, we worked with all the cities and got some questions, and we had a 28 or 29% response rate from the businesses from all the cities, the 15 cities in unincorporated Weber County. Overwhelmingly, we knew that it was the right thing to do to keep our businesses here and help them grow, much like the Market Star concept out of a garage became a very healthy, and with a lot of spin-off businesses. And partnering with Davis County, because our lunch was being handed to us all the time by the Orem pit of the state. And it's O-R-E-M as you're taking notes there, Mr. Brandt. But I can't tell you, I never imagined how well, I didn't imagine how well it'd go, especially with you, Gage. Your effectiveness with this, we didn't even know at the time, but you've just done such a great job, and I trust your judgment on this, so it's without hesitation, a reservation that I'd make this motion to approve this contract.
Very good. I have a motion.
I'll second that. Thank you, Commissioner Harvey.
I'd like to make a comment on this also. This has been very successful. A lot of people say, well, all you're doing is out there encouraging more business to come into the county. Well, we are doing that, but it's not about quantity, it's about quality. And we've made sure that the businesses that are coming in are good businesses. Plus, we have a lot of businesses that are here already that are expanding and looking for new grounds, and it allows us to work with them directly. Ms. Russell has been doing that and doing a great job, and this is just a wonderful, wonderful contract, and the results, I think, speak for themselves. I'm very happy with what's happened and the recognition that we've received from new folks coming in. When they come in and meet with us, we can have Stephanie come right in, and she knows where the ground is, she knows who people are looking to do this and do that, and we can make connections and help these people be successful in their businesses, and we get much more out of it than we put into it. Absolutely. We've put one person's wage and a partial contract, and that's it, and I tell you, we get a lot out of that. So with that, I'm going to call the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That passes. Thank you very much, Gage.
Thank you.
Item 5 is request for approval of a professional services agreement between Weber County Attorney's Office and the University of Utah Department of Pediatrics for expert witness services on a pending criminal matter. Liam? He's not here. Are you going to handle that, Chris?
I will. Thank
Okay.
you. Liam had a separate meeting to attend.
Okay.
This is a professional services agreement for our prosecutors to hire an expert witness. Often in criminal cases, particularly in homicide cases, it is necessary for us to seek expert advice from medical doctors, or in recreating, telling a story of, like, how a particular person passed away, or helping us get an idea of what actually happened when a crime took place. In this particular case, we need to hire an expert, a pediatric doctor from the University of Utah. And this is, I believe, the doctor's name is Dr. Antoinette Lasky, who will be assisting us in one of our trials. And we're just presenting this to you for consideration for approval. I did notice in the contract it does have a signature line for the Weber County Attorney, but pursuant to ordinance, I asked that it be put on the County Commission agenda for approval. So if you do end up approving, I just request that you specifically state that you grant authority for the county attorney to sign on your behalf.
Very good. Questions, commissioners?
None from me.
I see none. Good. Looking for a motion then. Harvey?
Since this is in my portfolio, I'll make that a motion that we approve this professional services agreement between the Weber County Attorney's Office and the University of Utah Department of Pediatrics for expert witness services. And in doing so, on this particular contract, we give authority for the Attorney's Office to sign this contract.
I'll second that.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye?
Aye. It passes. Next item is a public hearing. I need a motion to adjourn this meeting, go into a public hearing. Nobody want to do it?
I'll make that motion that we adjourn this meeting, go into a public hearing.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes. Very good. Public hearing today is consideration of county initiated text amendment, amending the Ogden Valley Stream Corridor setback for certain subdivision lots. Steve Burton.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. I believe, just as a little bit of background, I think we brought this request to you earlier this year. But just to give you a background of what exactly the county staff is proposing, the planning staff is proposing, it's to amend the stream corridor ordinance in the Ogden Valley. That ordinance was adopted in 2005, and at that time when it was adopted, there weren't any exemptions for lots in subdivisions that already had buildable envelopes or that already showed a previous stream setback. So for example, in 2005, the ordinance said nobody can build any structures within 100 feet of a river, nobody can build any structures within 75 feet of a year-round stream, and nobody can build any structures within 50 feet of a seasonal stream. The ordinance previously was different. They had slightly different setbacks. And so what we've got is we've got a group of, we've seen quite a few subdivision lots that were platted before this ordinance that are saying, no, I'm already showing a stream setback. And our response has been, well, we amended that, and now you have a more strict stream setback. And so we're seeing I would call it a hardship from owners who bought these lots and maybe there used to be a 75-foot stream setback, and then in 2005 it changed to 100 feet. And so what we're proposing is to exempt those lots that were platted before 2006, as long as those lots addressed the stream in some way and showed a setback. What we did is we took this to the Planning Commission, Ogden Valley Planning Commission, on November 30th of last year, and they made a positive recommendation and that you go ahead and approve, and we as staff as well are recommending that. And I'll just show you the language real quick here. It's really just one sentence, so it should be pretty fast. I don't know if you can you see this on your screens?
It's starting right there. It is.
Okay, perfect. I'll just go right to the ordinance itself so you can review that. The language in the ordinance is as follows. I'll just read it. It's under the exceptions section. Structures, accessory structures, roads, or parking areas proposed on a lot with a designated buildable area, building envelope, or river or stream corridor setback shown on the recorded subdivision plat recorded prior to January 1st of 2006. That's the language we're proposing to add in there. This would essentially grandfather subdivision lots before 2006. They still have to meet setbacks. They still have to meet stream setbacks, the setbacks that were specifically shown on their plat from back then. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Steve, the question I have, and I thought of this after we'd gone through this. Oh, sorry, I'm kind of hitting you a little cold here. If we've altered the setback of the house, how does the septic system relate to that? Because normally the septic system is to the rear of the house, and the rear of the house faces the stream traditionally. Now, not always, but traditionally. So what happens here?
So there is a rule governed by the health department, and their rule, from my understanding, is you can't be within 100 feet of any type of water course. And so that rule is separate from this specific stream rule. Our land use code doesn't cover setbacks for septic systems or drain fields. That comes from the health department regulation.
So in this case, the septic would either be to the side or to the front?
It would have to be 100 feet away from any
Right.
water course.
And if we allowed the house to be 50, then that'd be the only place left, right?
That would be the only place left for a drain field?
Drain
Right.
field.
Right.
Okay, I'm all right with that. I just wanted to understand that and see that in my mind, how that would work.
Yeah. So it wouldn't there wouldn't be any type of contamination with this.
Right.
This doesn't exempt any drain fields. They're still under that regulation of 100 feet,
Right,
no
and it
matter what.
doesn't alter, make them be able to be closer.
That's right.
Okay.
Just the house or other structures.
Questions, Commissioners?
No questions for me.
Just a comment, I think this makes sense, obviously, if the plat was recorded prior to this date. And Commissioner Jay can just answer your question. So I built my home in, I believe it was 2009 or 10, and I was under the 100-foot setback for my house. And then, but the drain field actually then went out the other side, the front of the house.
Right.
So I met the requirement from the health department. I think I'm actually now with the drain field probably 125 or 150 away. So you just adjust wherever that septic tank system may come out.
All right, makes sense.
But anyway, I think this is a good amendment, especially for those lots that are recorded and prior to that date.
Mr. Rick Grover wants to make a comment.
Just want to make a quick comment. This will help alleviate a lot of these going before the Board of Adjustment.
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot in the last few years that have had to go before the Board of Adjustment, and then this will reduce their time and staff's time as well.
I've got one question though, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So how many people, how many lots do you think this impacts? I mean, if you said you've had a lot go to Board of Adjustment, it sounds like it's not a minor issue.
We've probably, in the last few years, we've probably had about 15.
Oh, okay.
It's been a fair amount, which has increased the Board of Adjustment's meeting time as well.
Yeah, okay.
Rick, answer his question, though. Do you know how many more are out there that it could affect?
There's probably quite a few. I don't know the exact number
About?
out there. I would guess there's probably about 40 to 50.
40 to 50, that'd be my guess.
Out in that area.
Okay. Great, thank you. All right, any other questions, Commissioners?
No, that discussion was helpful, very helpful.
You bet.
I do have one last. You said platted before 2006. Do we want to add 2 words in sold? Platted and sold, or just platted?
I don't think we need to have sold. That means someone would have to track when they were sold, and I don't think that's necessary because the platting is what officially made that stream setback effective on that lot.
Very good.
Yeah, I think the key word there is platted and recorded,
Right.
Commissioner. So once it's recorded, then it's basically done, regardless of the ownership. So I'm not sure that the sold would really be that necessary.
Very good. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
Is there any other folks here who would care to comment on this? It's a public hearing, and now's the time for public comments. Only see a couple in the audience. All right. Well, if we don't have any public comments, I'm ready to close this public hearing.
Motion to close, Mr. Chair, and go back to a public meeting.
Second.
Very good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We're now back in, the public meeting is closed, and we're now back to our regular meeting. And I'm ready for a motion if somebody'd like to make one. This is an ordinance.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'll move that we approve that text amendment for the Ogden Valley Stream corridor setbacks as presented earlier by Mr. Burton.
That'd be ordinance number 2022-12.
Okay?
And I'll second that.
Very good. I have motion and a second. Mr. Brandt?
Okay, roll call vote for ordinance 2022-12. Commissioner Faur,
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Chair Jenkins.
Aye. Very good. The ordinance passes. Very good. All right, Commissioners. Commissioner comments. Anybody want to continue to comment today? Been a wild, crazy day.
Been wild, yeah, so far.
You know, I have one thing I'd like to just make as a matter of public record.
Okay.
I think it's, we're honored, and I know that Ricky Hatch had quite a bit to do with this, but we enjoy the Utah Association of Counties. All counties in the state of Utah are meeting the next 3 days at our Ogden Eccles Conference Center. Weber County is always, as we've been involved with that, we've always had people who've been in leadership roles there and continue to. Our action earlier today, where the combined economic development with Davis County is one that just sets yet another trademark, the things that Ricky's done with elections and every other elected official. They've all had, Leanne being the recorder of the year, Chris Allred, the attorney of the year before, Ryan, the outstanding lawman of the year. It just goes on that Weber County leads, continues to lead out, and it's just, it's a nice thing. So I just thought I'd bring that to a point. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Bad. Good point.
Commissioner Jenkins?
Yes.
When you asked for commenters, there wasn't one, but now there is one. I don't know if you want to take it or.
Sure, go ahead.
It's Jan Fulmer.
Jan, we accidentally skipped over you. Either that or you were a little slow. Go ahead. We'll hear your comment.
Commissioners, is this the section of the meeting for general comments?
Well, you missed that. That was at the first, but that's okay. We'll take a general comment. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. I must have looked at the wrong agenda because it had general comments at the end. I basically just have, I guess, 2 questions on process. When a vacancy becomes available on the Ogden Valley Planning Commission, is there something posted to ask for people to submit their names if they're interested? That's the first question. The second question is, does the Ogden Valley Planning Commission get to review the resumes and backgrounds of the candidates and provide any feedback as to selection?
Yes and no. Yes, it is posted, and no, they don't review those. The Planning Commission doesn't review.
Okay, and is it posted on the Weber County website?
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Well, with that, I'm ready for one more comment or motion.
Which is it?
I'd make a motion we adjourn this meeting.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. We are